In the land of Egypt, a new pharaoh had risen to power. Unlike the rulers before him, this pharaoh feared the growing numbers of the Israelites. They were strong, multiplying quickly, and he worried that one day they might rise against him. So he placed them under heavy slavery, forcing them to build cities and work in the fields with cruel labor. But Pharaoh's fear went even further. He ordered that every Hebrew baby boy must be killed at birth, thrown into the Nile River. It was a dark and terrible decree, one meant to destroy hope itself. Yet in this time of fear, a Hebrew woman from the tribe of Levi gave birth to a baby boy. For 3 months, she hid him in her home. She tried to quiet his cries, to keep him safe from the soldiers who searched for newborns. But as the baby grew stronger, she could no longer hide him. "Oh Lord our God, how we need you right now. Please help me," she cried out to God. Desperate but full of faith, she made a small basket of reeds, coated it with tar and pitch so it would float, and placed her son inside. With a trembling heart, she set the basket among the reeds of the Nile River, hoping against hope that somehow God would protect her child. Then she went back home, knowing she had done all she could. As the sun began its journey across the sky, the baby's sister, Miriam, stayed close by, watching from a distance. Her eyes never left the small basket as it drifted along the water. She, too, prayed silently, hoping God would protect her little brother. Suddenly, through the hazy distance, Miriam saw a group of women walking toward the river. They were elegant, their garments fine, their heads adorned with jewels. As they drew closer, Miriam's heart skipped a beat. She recognized them. It was the royal women of Egypt, and among them, Pharaoh's own daughter. "Oh God, please protect my brother," Miriam prayed urgently. She watched anxiously as the princess approached the basket, her heart pounding like a drum. What would happen next? Would her brother be discovered? Would he be saved? Miriam stood there, her whole body trembling, not daring to move, not daring to hope. Pharaoh's daughter, with her attendants fanning her gently, came to a halt beside the basket. One of her servants, noticing something in the reeds, bent down to pick it up. It was a small basket, unadorned, yet something about it caught the servant's eye. Intrigued, she presented the basket to her mistress, the princess. When Pharaoh's daughter looked inside, she saw the baby. He was crying softly, his tiny fists clenched, his little chest rising and falling with each breath. A wave of emotions washed over her. Compassion, curiosity, a touch of fear. In that moment, she knew this was one of the Hebrew babies, yet no fear or anger stirred within her. Instead, an overwhelming sense of protectiveness took hold. With a gentle touch, she lifted the baby from the basket. As she cradled him, his crying subsided, replaced by a soft sigh. Looking into his dark eyes, she saw innocence, purity, a reflection of life before the harsh realities of the world had set in. It was a connection that transcended the boundaries of race, culture, and circumstance. She turned to one of her attendants, her voice soft yet firm. "Go, call a wise woman. I need a nurse for this child," she commanded. Her tone brooked no argument, leaving no doubt in the minds of her attendants. Miriam, who had been watching from a distance, now stepped forward, mustering all her courage. Kneeling before the princess, she said, "Would you like me to go and find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child for you? I know a woman who would do it." Pharaoh's daughter looked down at Miriam, her gaze steady. In that moment, their eyes met, and the princess saw determination, loyalty, and a fierce love for her people shining in Miriam's eyes. Intrigued, she nodded slowly. "Very well," she said. "Go and find this woman." Miriam, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope, bowed her head in response. Then she rose swiftly, and with purpose. As she walked away, her steps were light, her head held high. She knew exactly where to go, who to find. Her mother, the very woman who had placed Moses in the river, would be the perfect nurse for the child. Miriam hurried along, the image of the princess holding her baby brother fresh in her mind. With each step, she prayed that her mother would agree, that everything would go according to plan. Reaching her mother's house, Miriam found her just as she had left her, tending to the small fire that had been their only source of warmth in the cold stone room. Miriam, her voice barely a whisper, told her mother everything that had happened since that fateful day when she had put the baby in the river. Her mother listened intently, her face etched with worry, yet also with a glimmer of hope. When Miriam finished, she saw a conflicted look on her mother's face. "I cannot believe our child is alive," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "But how can I take him back? It would endanger both me and him." Miriam, sensing her mother's hesitation, spoke up. "But you already have taken him back, Mother. You are nursing him right now." Her mother, startled, looked down at the child in her arms. Yes, the baby had stopped crying, had quieted down as if sensing their conversation. As the weight of her words sunk in, a slow smile spread across her mother's face. She looked back at Miriam, her eyes filled with understanding. "You are right, my daughter," she said softly. "I will keep him as long as I am needed, but he must return to the princess when he is old enough." And so it was that the baby, Moses, remained with his biological mother for the next 3 months. During this time, their small home became a haven of love and laughter. The mother, whose name was Jochebed, doted on her son, cherishing every moment she had with him, while Miriam, ever watchful, made sure that Moses stayed safe and healthy. As Moses grew, it became clear that he was no ordinary child. Strong, curious, and intelligent, he thrived in the loving environment his mother and sister had created for him. One day when Moses was old enough to be weaned, it was time for him to return to Pharaoh's daughter. As Jochebed prepared to say goodbye to her son, tears streamed down her face. Despite the joy of knowing he was alive, the thought of parting with him tore at her heart. "Oh, Lord," she cried out, "protect my son, keep him safe and guide his path." Her prayers were echoed by Miriam, who, though older, still felt a deep maternal love for Moses. On the day he was to leave, Pharaoh's daughter came to Jochebed's house. As she entered, her eyes, kind yet firm, met those of Jochebed. "It is time," she said softly, extending her arms to Moses. Jochebed hesitated for a moment, then placed Moses in the princess's arms, her touch gentle, her voice trembling slightly. "May God bless you, child. May you live a long and good life." Pharaoh's daughter, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, cradled Moses close. She looked down at him, her heart filled with affection. "Yes, may God bless you too," she whispered, her voice echoing the sentiment of Jochebed. As the princess carried Moses out of the house, Jochebed and Miriam followed closely behind, their steps heavy with emotion. Reaching the royal carriage, Pharaoh's daughter placed Moses in a cradle lined with fine linen. Then she turned to Jochebed and Miriam. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "You have done well." With a final wave, the princess and her entourage departed, leaving Jochebed and Miriam standing in the courtyard of the house. They watched until the carriage disappeared from view, their faces etched with a mix of sadness and pride. After the princess and Moses had left, Jochebed and Miriam returned to their small home. The silence was heavy, broken only by their quiet sobs. It was a moment of grief, of letting go, but also of faith. They both knew that Moses was exactly where he was supposed to be,